Hello, Internet. Traven here, and today we're going to be looking at my tomes to be read, my TTBR for the month of July. Before we get started today, I do want to say that I am recording this on July 3rd, and my neighbors have already started celebrating with some fireworks. So we're going to try to soldier through this, but just know that my neighborhood tends to celebrate early and for a prolonged period of time. Hopefully, it's not too much of a distraction. What I'm doing today is my TBR for July. I had 3 titles that came over from last month. I didn't quite get to. And so right now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 books on my TBR. So these are novels only. I don't tend to plan out the manga that I read or the comic books that I read. I just grab from the piles that we have available. So it won't be everything that I read this month, but it will be the novels that I'm trying to get through before the end of July. I've arranged them in alphabetical order. So we're going to start with one that was from last month, and that is Conceal Don't Feel by Jen Colanita. So this is one of the twisted tales. I read a lot of, or have been reading a lot of adaptations recently or reimaginings of classic fairy tales, and this is a take on the Snow Queen or on Frozen, just with some difference in the main story. I read Reflections. I did really enjoy Reflections, and I thought it did a good job of bringing in Chinese folklore and their ideas of the afterlife into the story and still managed to maintain a lot of the themes that were prevalent in the movie, the Disney version of Mulan. So this one is pretty high on my list. And the question here, the change here is what if Anna and Elsa never knew each other? So I'm looking forward to it and seeing what that affects and what that changes as far as the story moving forward. So last month's TBR was a lot of just things that have been on my shelf forever, including this one. This has been on my shelf for months, years, possibly. And this month is much more newer titles and things that I just got in, new releases, and things for book clubs. So it's going to be a completely different month from last month. I will have a wrap up for June coming out as well. So if you want to see everything I read in June, you can check out that video. Our second title is Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. This is one that had shown up on a lot of my horror and thriller lists and recommendations. Seems like a mystery, kind of like, what's the movie? Total Recall. Like the movie Total Recall, where he wakes up and his life is different, and what's the real world and what's the fake world. So seems very interesting, and it's been on my radar for a while. Finally picked it up to read this month. Next up, we have The Frugal Wizard's Handbook for Surviving Medieval England. This is the second secret project by Brandon Sanderson that came out. I read Tress pretty much as soon as I received it. And the only reason that I'm not starting this month with this book is because I just got finished with the second Stormlight Archives book, and it was a lot, over 1,000 pages, and I can't dive right back into another Sanderson, another Cosmere book just yet. It seems like a more tongue-in-cheek title. I have heard from Murphy that she was not as big of a fan of this than she was of Tress, and mentioned the um, annotations that are in the book. There's a lot of marginal notes and marginal pictures. They also have the um, full page art as well. that was in Tress. Really gorgeous art. So this seems a lot more tongue in cheek and funny, and I don't know. We'll see. I love most of Sanderson's work, so I'm always interested in what is new coming out from him. Very excited for this one, but again, not one I want to jump right into, having read Words of Radiance recently. All right, next one is one that did not get to last month, which is Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clark. And this one, I've tried to start it before. I've tried to read through it, and it's another one of those just really heavy fantasy books. And this one in particular, kind of similarly to the handbook, has these footnotes, a lot of footnotes in the book. And I just found the last time that I tried to read it, I wasn't in the right mood for this, and it was difficult to get through the book, having to go through these lengthy footnotes. I feel like I got maybe 50 pages into it, so I've barely started. This is another lengthy title, almost 1,000 pages. So it is one I want to get to, but again, I'm not currently like wanting to grab it. Next one is going to be a kind of weird choice, and that is Silas Marner by George Eliot. This I'm reading because my UIL literary criticism team, this is the UIL literary criticism book for this year. There's always a book, a play, and a series of poems. And so I always want to read this with my students so that I can talk to them about the book and we can discuss what terms, what ideas from the Handbook to English Literature are going to apply to this. I'm not like excited to read it per se, but I am wanting to read it to help my students. I've heard mixed things about this from people who are coming to it from just the perspective of wanting to read a classic. Um, a wide range of opinions. I don't know how it's going to fall for me, but it is only 190 pages, so it should be a quick read. I just need to buckle down and get through it. My next book is actually my current read, and that is Threads That Bind. I do not know how to pronounce the author's name. I will do my best. Kika Hautsopoulou. Apologize for butchering that name. This is a YA fantasy novel about a character who inherits the Fate's powers in some way, and the inheritors of that power always come in threes. So it's three sisters. One is able to create new threads, new connections to people. One is able to draw them out so she can like loosen them so you don't feel as strongly toward someone. And then the character we follow, Io, her she's the youngest sister, and her power is the power to cut the threads. So she can cut someone's life thread, or she can cut someone's thread to a relation or something that they care about. And so far, the concept has been really interesting. I don't feel like the mystery is very strong. And I feel like some of the world building is a little clunky, but I'm hoping that once I get through the intro part, you've got to get up that plateau of understanding how a world works. And then once we get past that, I'm hoping that the characters and the world, the writing kind of smooths out a little bit. A fascinating world to explore, just not really hitting right for me right now. Next up, we have The Whisper Man by Alex North. This one was recommended to me by Caitlin M. Diener on Instagram. And it was in a thread asking about what book recommendations do you want, and I had read through The Last Word, and maybe I had finished Soulmate at that point, and I was asking for an actual like horror scary novel, and so this was the recommendation for that. This story here is that a man takes his son to a new town where there is this history of a child abductor who they hear whispering outside the windows before they're taken away. And then the man's son disappears and he starts hearing whispers as well. So sounds appropriately spooky. And I'm hoping that it's like a genuine horror novel and not like a thriller or a home invasion type story, which is what I've been reading in the past. Got two more. Next one is The Writing Retreat. So this is a debut novel, I believe, Julia Bart's. And this one is about a group of writers who go into a cabin retreat and they have to write a book within a month and then one of them disappears. And I assume from there it's going to go into like murder mystery story. So that sounded very fun and very interesting. And so I was very excited to pick this one up. My wife is also interested in this one. So hopefully we can both read it and discuss it and talk about what we thought. And I'm hoping it's good. I'm hoping it's not, it doesn't fizzle out because the premise sounds so interesting. Finally, we have The Only One Left by Riley Sager. And this is the Book Troop book for July. Book Troop is a book club that I follow, and this is my third month following along with that channel and reading their books. So I was very happy with their first month's pick that I jumped in. So that was The Last Word. That one was a lot of fun and really campy and silly home invasion thriller story. I was not very impressed with Soulmate, which was the second month's. And this one also sounds really good. So of the three, I think this premise sounded the most interesting to me. It's about a woman who, at 17, witnesses the murder of her family and is the only one who survives, and everyone assumes she's the one who committed the murders. She's now an elderly woman and is needing a new caretaker. The new caretaker is trying to tease out information about her past, and in doing so, is uncovering that there's more to this story. And of course, the old woman might be more sinister or more dangerous than she lets on to be. So I'm have high hopes for this one. So it will probably be one I try to read in the middle of the month. I don't want to do it too soon because I'll forget about my thoughts about it when the stream happens. And I don't want to read it too late and risk not finishing it on time. So it'll probably hit right in the middle of the month. And that is my TBR for the month of July. I hope you enjoyed looking through these titles with me, and please let me know if there are any that you are interested in reading or you are interested in hearing a review for. I will definitely take that feedback into consideration. So sound off in the comments if there's something in here that you want to hear my thoughts on, or if there's something here that you are interested in reading and you would like someone else to discuss that with. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If you'd like to see more from my channel, please subscribe. I'm going to post every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday for the foreseeable future. And leave a comment down below and help us grow this small corner of our BookTube community. Thank you.